So I registered when I was 18 to draft, you know, and just real shortly I got my call to go have a physical, and that was in Little Rock, and I'd never been to Little Rock, and we were all lined up, naked as jaybirds. That's the expression I use, and it's lined up, and they're talking about what they're going to get in, you know. Well, I didn't want to go in the Navy because I wasn't a very good swimmer. And they said, if you want to get in the Army, say Navy, and they'll put you in the vice versa. So I got up there, and he said, what part of service you want in, sir? And I said, Army, sir, real loud, you know. And he wrote red letters in the Army across my paper. I was tickled to death. So I got in the Army. I wound up in Camp Robinson, Little Rock. And they signed us the building was going to stay in. Of course, we was in our street clothes. And a little bit they called us out and lined us up, went down to got our clothes, fatigues and stuff, and come back, and we were supposed to change. Shoes and all. And I got a pair of shoes, I believe they were 13, and I wore a 10. I got back, and they just fixed them out to you know. They didn't care. And I got them shoes, and I looked at them, I laced them up. Well, I could pull my feet out of them, not even unlacing them. So I fell out in my slippers. This old sergeant, he came down the line looking each other face to face, and he looked down at my feet. He said, didn't you get any shoes? I said, yes, sir. But I said, they're so big, I said, I could just jump straight up out of them. That's the words I used. He walked around behind me. He just broke up. He came back and he said, son, do you know where you got them shoes? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, you go down there and get you something to fit. Best thing ever happened to me. They measured my feet. Everything set me up. Said, now he told me, said, if you stay in and remember this sign, you'll never have him. I never had a blister. And one of the main things I don't remember at the end, we was out in the field, and there's some benches out there where they sat and watched parades and stuff. Now I was sitting on the first bench. This sergeant had been with us all along there. He came up, sat down beside me, and I think, what is he doing? Put his arm around me, squeezed me real hard. You know, son, he said, I know I've been hard on you, but said where you're going, I tried to teach you where you can stay alive. But back to when I started from home that morning, that storm, I had time to think. I said, I don't know where I'm going or what's going to happen, but I'm going to do my job, but I'm going to protect myself, and I'm going to try to come back. I might add this, that all during my combat, I never thought I was going to get killed. Others thought they was going to get killed and did get killed. They don't tell you nothing. And they dropped me off and said somebody would be by to pick you up. It was dark as it could be in the forest. And directly somebody come by and said, have you got first thing you're going to do, dig a foxhole? Said, there'll be a tank come by here and run over your foxhole in the morning. And I said, I don't have a shovel. I didn't have anything. A helmet. And he said, you got a helmet, hadn't you? I dug that foxhole with that helmet. I looked up the next morning, I saw that old wore out tank coming. It was one of them big ones, smoking and a popping and a carrying on. He went over my foxhole and wasn't anything but my head sticking out. That was my welcome to the 69th Infantry Division. And we got off and we had a blanket and a sleeping bag. Snow was about 8 inches deep, and we slept in the woods that night like that. And the next morning, we relieved the 99th Infantry Division, which had gone through, they'd been over there a long time, and we relieved them. And they'd been dug in there for several weeks, and They looked awful. And they looked at us, I don't know what they thought, but we relieved them. And while we was relieving them, the Germans thought they was going to attack, and they turned loose artillery, and we had men killed before we got started, you know. Then every morning about 5 o'clock, they'd open up with everything they had. Artillery, the bullets, them tracer bullets was like it was back home. I'd look across the field, what I call Long Creek, and it looked like them lightning bugs. That's what it was like. Here I am out there looking down my area, and while I was laying there one morning, there's a shell fell, the big pine tree right behind me. I heard it, just a twig hit, I think in my mind, and it exploded, and the concussion, now I was in a slip trench, I wasn't a foxhole, it was a slip trench, I was a BAR, man, a heavy weapon, and it blew me out of that, the concussion blew me out. I went this way, my helmet went that way, and I grabbed everything up and got back in there, and about that time somebody come by and said, Arkansas, where'd that hit? I said, right up here. I never heard the last of that. And then right on we went into attack. And this is it. Got up 3 o'clock that morning, cold, foggy, mist in the air. The book says it's just right for the day to make the attack. We should do our thing. We already been out of this, we done been, yeah, went on patrols. I went on patrols, got close enough I could hear the Germans talking in the snow. And, oh boy, and that was pretty tough. We captured several prisoners during that time. And we started out, just to get to one of the things I wanted to mention. We started out, and I'd picked up a watch somewhere. You tap the dial, the face up, and you'd light up this jiffy to tell time. And they borrowed that thing from me and synchronized it with this artillery. Well, they're going to drop it right in front of us, see. And they wouldn't get too far in front of us with it either. And we started moving up, and that's when I saw that shrapnel from them shell break and fall down from the ground, and that snow would melt and go down in the ground, in the snow. And a piece hit that finger there, and just took, I never did see that fingernail, but I remember I could see it bleeding in the snow. I never forget that. So it was a tough terrain. And therefore we didn't have much tanks, had some light tanks, all we had when we went in attack. We moved up to this place, and on level ground, level of that floor, and the Germans shot up flares over here and over here, and they could see us just as plain as you could see each other here. We couldn't see them, and they opened up with everything they had. That's when they wiped out my squad. And then they taught you when if a flare popped, freeze. If you're standing, don't move. Well, I hit that ground, I eat it up. And where I was laying like facing you, that German machine gun, he probably wasn't over 25, 30 yards from me. He cut him, I'm laying face to face and he's over here. He cut a trail right down from my side. He piled debris up on my side all the way down. And just made a ditch down there. Well, I made it. So then all the commotion, those men that's with me, all of them was killed. And I heard that platoon sergeant, which I mentioned a while ago, Sergeant Murphy. I heard him say, he called back to headquarters and said, we're pinned down and they're shooting us like ducks in the pond. And I said, Well, I started moving back, you know. I wasn't going to stay there and shoot me right there, you know. And I wound up down to where the, I don't know how I ended up with the medic and some others sitting there. And I didn't mention that, of course, he didn't know where he was at. And, but it wound up got reorganized, went back to them houses a little further than where we was at first. And we lined up there when we was on our stomachs firing in around that building where the Germans were. And I mean pouring on. And I heard somebody say smoke. Well, I knew enough to know what that meant. They're going to fire smoke in and go and get them. Then the next thing I heard was fixed bayonets. And so then fixed bayonets, and there was 90 some odd Germans in there. They were trained. We were rookies. Green. and I never forget, I was looking at the end of the house firing in there, and they had a pole that looked like it's 10 foot long, and run a flag out there. They just poured out of there. I saw my assistant squad leader. He came in. He had a family, and I found out later he was a Baptist, and he got down before we pulled out that morning. Got right to his feet, got down on his knees in the snow, and prayed for us. And I saw him upside the building, and he was shot full of holes and blood leaking out his shirt. And there I was. I said, I don't know why I thought like this. I said, if there's a God, why did it take him to leave me? You know, I knew I wasn't ready. I'd never been churched. And I never forgot that for the rest of my life. And in 1953, was it? Now saved? When I was saved, that's the first thing I thought of. And I had enough sense then, though. God took him, he was ready, and gave me a chance, and I'm still here. I'm going to get back to a place called Weisenfeld. And that's one place that I don't see how I made it. And we was pushing Germans. That time we was traveling in a convoy because the Germans were really pulling back. We knew we was going to hit resistance sometime. And this Weisenfeld, this armored division went through there and reported it was all clear. Wouldn't be much to it. We pulled up on it, and the sun was shining bright on the outside, you know, on kind of side of a higher mountain thing up here, Timberwood side, and it stopped. And Germans come out and welcome, you know, and the kids asking for candy, you know, they'd already learned that. And about that time down on their left down there, they fired on us, Germans. They sent out a squad, and that particularly they sent out a platoon toward you. And then they decided this is going to be more than we expected. And my company went across the open field. I mean, an open field. This is Weisenfeld, Germany. And there wasn't any protection, there wasn't nothing, the snipers firing at you. And I remember there's a guy named Harrison, I don't remember the other two's name, a friend I did then. We got off to the left. I don't know how we got separated to ourselves. I never have figured it out. And the roads, when there wasn't any, just a dirt road, and hadn't been any traveling where we was at. But there's a low place on one side, and I could look over to the left, and I could see some houses over here. So we was down in there deciding, where do we go from here? You know, we out of contact with nobody. And I looked, just one guy with it, he kept, he wanted to see more. I told him, I said, you better get down, you want them snipers to get you. And but he was trying to stand up, and well, he got one. He fell right across me, dead as a doornail. So I got looking over there from where the fire came from, and I saw this guy. There's a two-story building. He had a porch all the way around it, and he had some furniture out on the porch where he was. And he'd raise up every once in a while. He'd fire back behind where he came from. I put a fine beat on him when he raised up. He didn't come up anymore. I don't know if I got him or not. Well, this is when doomsday began. I didn't know it was a track, railroad track at 100 miles. There's a freight train pulled up with about 20 box cars on it. Them orange doors on it. They pulled up right out and opened in front of us about 300 yards, opened them doors, and the Germans just poured out of them. And Martha could tell you about this. N.C. Harrison, he'd been a church member. He saw that. He said, "Lord, save me." He said he was saved there. Well, I said, well, I'm going to try to find some coverage. And I could see down below there was like a water stood in there, and the grass and weeds grew up about this high. And I said, I'll go there and get in that. See where them guys going to go. You know, we was outnumbered, no use to try to do anything. So I got down and I started going down. I run to a fence. The barbed wire was that close, and it was higher than my head. I don't know what it was for, and I couldn't get around it. And so I kept going around that fence. This is the craziest thing I ever did in all of my life. I walked down out there and I looked there and then over that fence. There sat a German tank. That machine gun that sat on top of it. An open field on the other side. I didn't run backwards, but I went the wrong way. I went across that field. It's probably 300 yards. Dumbest thing I ever done in my life. He opened up on me with that thing. I don't know if it was a 30 caliber or 50 caliber. I never did know. And them bullets was going under me, over me, everywhere. I don't know how in the world missed me. I get things done, maybe he just playing with me, you know. I'm guessing he was. But I got away from him down there. I went through a place where they burned coal. I bet that stuff was that deep. I run through there and I lost my helmet and everything I had on my head. And I wound up behind where the hill came down. They built a thing over the top. Just it wasn't over 6 foot wide, where the water runoff would wash. See, but underneath it was a concrete, and the wall was concrete. So I'm there, and I said, well, I'm safe from that tank, you know. My helmet and all stuff's still out there now. And about that time, I never did know what was friendly or what. Opened up from down the other way. And then bullets going up on that wall and walking around, falling down on the ground around me, you know. Well, I knew I was safe from that where I was. If I hadn't been, I'd already been dead. But the thought went through my mind, if they fire a bazooka shell in here, or what, I'm gone, or I got to get out of here. Now then, you won't believe this. I didn't remember anything. That was about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, somewhere along there. I don't remember anything from there until the next day, about noon. And they said, them guys, my platoon, my squad leaders, they said I got back with them. How in the world I got back by that tank, how I got back with them, I don't know. I got back and we fought street to street. I mean, in a fierce battle, and I don't even know I'm in it. I'm laying there looking across that bridge, and I can see Germans all along that bridge on the other side of the bank over there. And would you believe that sergeant gave me the order to cross that bridge? Well, I started, and about 15 foot out there's a hole blown through that bridge about that big around, but the steel force is still there, you know. And I thought about jumping through it, but I don't believe I got through it. The bullets just coming so fast, it was unbelievable. And I squatted down there, and this Scott Gresham, he was looking at me, and he said, I fired ahead of you. He's a BR man. I said, God Almighty, you might save my life. It was impossible. I got up and started from the hip and just run right through the middle of them. I caught a bullet up there in the flesh of my leg. I never did know what happened. And got on the other side, this group had got in the house. And one of them said, "There's blood running out of your shoe." And I looked down there. I said, "Sure is." I never did see that where that hit, cause nothing of the town. Ellen Grob, something like that. Boy, they was enforced. Start down them streets, and I mean, they were waiting on you. Though the war was nearly over, it wasn't for them. They fight to the last man, and fired smoke shells in and pulled back, and there was a Catholic priest and two women. I guess they was whatever they call them. They sent word with them to tell them if they didn't surrender, we would level the town. And you know what? They refused. There we were. We had artillery. We had everything there, and the war is over. Ammunition didn't mean anything. They made dust of that place. We walked in, no problem at all. Prison camps. That was a horrible thing. I went through, I saw the furnaces. I saw two set up where they were feeding them in there. They'd run out of gas at that time for some reason. But they're stacked up there like cordwood. They're laying on the ground, legs up around, grown men, women. And there I was. I was still 19 years old. I looked down at them and couldn't talk, but they'd do that. And seen boxcars full of dead in them, pits out there full of them. It's the awfulest place you ever looked. It was so bad that Eisenhower and Patton, they called them all out, called all the news media they could, and what they were saying, if they didn't, no one would believe what was there. It was that bad. Smell, it was awful. We'd go in them camps first. We'll get there, the guards would some of them still be there. And boy, they'd get after them guards and they'd kill a lot of them. And it was something, I didn't know there was anything possible to be like that. There's something that a lot of people don't understand about a combat soldier being in combat like that. You come home and you're in another world. And you look around and you think, what in the world? What the feeling you had, you know? And, well, I count it one of the greatest privilege in all of my life that I got to serve my country. And I think we got the greatest country that's in the world. And it's worth fighting for, it's worth standing up for. And every person would feel privileged to do so.